What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here for another video. I know I said I wasn't going to try to do these back-to-back with the Chicago Blackhawks years since I've been alive. However, I have school starting Monday, and that is when literal hell is going to start. So, I decided I want to get as many of these done as possible, so I might do them back-to-back-to-back if that's possible. Monday I start school, and I'm not excited, to be completely honest. Everyone's excited about going back to normal. I'm not. I don't want to even think about going back, but let's talk enough about me. Let's talk about this 2010-11 Chicago Blackhawks team, nicknamed the Hangover Hawks. Why? Because they were hungover from their previous Stanley Cup. They drank too much. Because after that 2010 season, as I mentioned previously, they had to get rid of a lot of their big names. Bufflin, Versteeg, Ladd, Sopel, Eager, Burish, Niemi, Huey, and more. There were more pieces than I just listed. And the record, although it wasn't half bad, the West at this point was much better than the East. The record was 44, 29, and 9 for 97 points, which was good enough for 3rd in the Central, 8th in the West, so they got the 8th seed that year, and 13th in the league, because they were better than 3 of the Eastern Conference teams in the 6th, 7th, and 8th seeds. They all had less points than Chicago, is what I'm saying. Their coach was Joel Quenneville, who was coached them the entire season. He will for another 7 years. Their captain was Jonathan Toews. Sorry about the plane going overhead right now. The goals for was 4th with 258th. Their goals against was 12th with 225. So their goals against dropped a bit from what it was last year. They're in the playoffs. They play the Canucks for the 3rd year in a row. This time in the first round, the Canucks won the President's Trophy, and they lose in 7. Heartbreaking as a child for me. I was 6 years old. But as I look back, I'm going to be doing a video on this. This is a big what if as well. So once I start that series, I'll do that. When I do the playoff series, I'll do this. If Chicago wins this series, Vancouver is forever embarrassed in history. Vancouver was up 3-0 in this series. And then Chicago wins the next 3 games in dominant fashion, except for Game 6, which is overtime. Game 7, they score with under 2 minutes left, shorthanded, to force overtime. And then Alex Burrows stabs the dagger, and I was very sad as a child. Even though Vancouver celebrated this, what it showed was how embarrassing that Canucks team was. I look back and notice. Yes, they beat them finally, but what it took was 6-12 over the first 2 series, and then add another 7, so 19 games in the playoffs to beat Chicago. Vancouver basically had to play a 19-game series in which they didn't even win the majority of the games in the. That's why I give the rivalry between Chicago and Vancouver 100% to Chicago in this time. Chicago was able to fight back. They were resilient. They were able to climb back and force 7 games. Anyway, I'll talk more about this when I do the playoff series, so I'm going to stop my ranting on here. Their leading scorer was Jonathan Toews, 32 goals, 44 assists, 76 points. So we've had Kane twice so far. This is Toews' first time as the leading scorer. Their best goalie was a rookie Corey Crawford, who went 33, 18, and 6. And their backup was Marty Turco. So that was the year Marty Turco, his last year before he retired, was a Blackhawk. He was the backup. Didn't play too many games. But it was interesting to see how different the roster was after the 2010 season. You already got 2 new goalies in Crawford and Turco. You have an entirely new group. That was the year Stahlberg came in. Bickle was a full-time. Bolin had a broken leg I think that was the year he had a broken leg for half the season, and then came back and dominated in the playoffs. He played 4 games, had like 6 points or something. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about this team. Really heartbreaking as a child, and that's kind of what I remember it for. But when we go into the playoff series, we'll look into this deeper. We'll look at the scores. We'll look at overall totals. And other than that, I'll see you all next time. Have a good day. Goodbye.